This is my beginner's guide to street photography and photographing strangers. My name is Pi, and I'm one of the founders of Lynn and Jersa Photography and SLRLounge.com. We're teaming up with Adorama to bring you a new series of photography tutorials called Master Your Craft right here on Adorama TV. So let's dive in. Hello, my friends. My name is Pi. Recently, I've been going out and doing a lot of street portraits, just basically photographing strangers. A couple of these sessions have been with my friend David Suh. We'll link him up. You guys can check out his work as well. You'll probably see him in some of the B-roll to this video. So I thought it'd be fun to put together a guide on, well, how do you shoot street portraits? It's one of those subjects that I don't see a lot of content out there for, and I think there's some simple tips and tricks to help you guys in getting comfort as well as helping the other person get comfortable being photographed by a complete stranger. So let's go ahead and dive into this. And I want to talk first about the gear. So the first thing that I would say is go light and know your gear. Really, any camera is going to work here. You can even use just your iPhone if you'd like to, or whatever phone you got. Okay, just relax, all you Android users. I get it. I get it. Your phones have good cameras too. It's going to be fine. So really any camera is going to work here. And I would say what's even more important is the lens choice. And also just, again, going light so that you are less intimidating to the strangers that you're photographing. So my combo was actually a 50mm lens on the Canon R6, as well as I think I was using the EOS R the first time that I went out. But my favorite focal length for street photography is actually a 35mm prime. So if you have a 35mm, that's my personal favorite. My second favorite would probably be the 50. I like the 35 though, just because I can get a little bit more background. And I also have a little bit more lens distortion that I can use intentionally, like let's say for kind of low bottom up shots and things like that. So I like the 35. Okay, so number 2, you get to a spot and you're starting to think about maybe approaching someone. Before the approach, I want you to actually scan your scene. So this is equivalent to, me telling you to location scout, right? Have a good idea of kind of what's around you, where the light's coming from, and get some ideas of some potential compositions before you just go up and start talking to somebody and then get thrown right into shooting. So for example, when David and I were out in Pasadena, we approached Erica. Erica was actually taking pictures with her friend for her fashion boutique, which we will link up as well. But as soon as we approached Erica and David was having the conversation, I was looking at the scene, and the very first thing that I noticed, which is probably the thing that everybody would notice, was the staircase, right? But what I liked about the staircase was if I actually moved her up the staircase, which I ended up doing for the photograph, I could actually use that as a leading line going into her. And then because of where she's positioned and the opening in between the buildings, I could use that to kind of light her face. So I already had these shots in mind before it was ever my turn to actually shoot. So once you get into a scene, I want you guys to actually location scout it, kind of scan the scene, figure out some ideas so you're not stuck when you're in the moment. Okay, so now number 3, we get to the approach, right? This is where I want you to establish credibility quickly. Now, you might think about handing out business cards or doing something. All that stuff is fine. And granted, your wardrobe and attire should be part of this, establish credibility kind of thing. Granted, I like to wear a t-shirt and pants and, just dress somewhat credibly. But some of you might like to hand out business cards. What I found was most effective is just to approach them, say, "Hi, my name is Pi, I'm a professional photographer," and simply hand them my phone, which would have my Instagram loaded up or my TikTok loaded up or my YouTube loaded up. You have the platform available so that they can see instantly, oh my goodness, this person actually creates good work. They have a decent following. There's someone that I can kind of trust. Now, if you are just starting out and you don't have that yet, then you're just gonna go with the introduction and you might get a few more rejections, but it'll be okay. There'll be plenty of people that will still take you up on it. Okay, but the point is to establish credibility. I found that this works much better than handing out business cards. You can actually just show them right there and then you don't have to waste trees and whatnot. Now, since we are in a post-COVID time, obviously we have our face masks on during this approach, and instead of handing them a phone, just show them so they don't have to be worried about, sharing germs and whatnot. Okay, one quick note as far as the approach in establishing credibility with the older folks is younger people tend to be more impressed with Instagram, your photos on Instagram, your credibility, the people that follow you, that kind of stuff. If you're approaching, 60, 70-year-old people, which I do quite a bit, I don't even bother with the phone. I just introduce myself. I just say, I would love to photograph you. I think you look absolutely incredible, and I would love to tell your story. Make it more simple. They're past beating around the bush. You know what I'm saying? Don't beat around the bush. Just go with it. Okay, so number 4, look, with the approach, you're gonna have to be okay. Learn to be okay. You don't have to like it, but learn to be okay with rejection. This is just a huge part of approaching anybody for anything. Look, I have sold every possible thing I can imagine door to door, okay? I've sold meat door to door. I've sold religion. I was actually practicing Mormon when I was younger and I went on a mission. And I sold religion door to door. You better believe I've had that door slammed in my face thousands of times. That said, while I have learned to be comfortable with rejection, it doesn't mean that I enjoy it. It doesn't mean that I go out and I seek it. That said, you have to kind of learn to live in that space of being comfortable with the uncomfortable. You're gonna get rejected. This is a numbers game. Now, what I found is helpful for me is to set a number of rejections. So today, I'm gonna get rejected 50 times. When I get rejected 50 times, I'm gonna head home. Your number doesn't have to be 50. Start out with a low number. Start out with 5 times. Start out with 10 times, whatever it is. But here's the deal. I know that there is no way I can possibly get rejected 50 times in a day. So when we were out with David, I said, look, just try to be rejected 10 times. I think we had like 4 or 5 rejections when I said this. Just try to get to 10 rejections and then we'll head home. And guess what? It never happened. It's a numbers game. And the more people that you ask, some are going to say yes, some are going to no. But if you go for 10 rejections, it's likely that to get to 10, you've had 5 or 6 people that have said yes. But for some reason, having that number of like, I'm going to go home when I get to this number, it's kind of helpful to give yourself a goal and something to kind of move towards. Number 5, be reasonable with your time request. Okay, so they agree to let you take their picture. Look, take 1 minute. Take 2 minutes, take up to 5 minutes. But I want you to be clear. I want you to ask for their time and say, hey, could I have 3 minutes of your time? Could I have 5 minutes of your time? And then respect it. Look, you have to understand that these people had no plan of being photographed by you. They have other things that they're there doing, or maybe they're just enjoying their day. Please be respectful of that time. What I found was helpful is just to say, like, is it okay if I have 5 minutes? And I would set a timer on my phone. Now, 5 minutes is honestly quite a bit more time than I needed, but it was an easy commitment for them to make. And 5 minutes gives me a good amount of time to actually keep shooting. And I don't have to worry about taking up more time because my phone is gonna go off and it's gonna let me know, and it's gonna let them know that I haven't taken up more than I asked for. Okay, so number 6, you are now shooting. This is where I want you to think back to kind of those things that you scanned previously. The things that you noticed, the shots that you saw in that little bit of location scouting in that scene. And I want you to go to those things. So one of these examples was when I was out shooting with David, I actually took a picture of David in front of this flower. Now I had noticed that flower, this flower on the wall, when I was just walking by as we were looking for people to photograph. Now on the way back, I said, David, let me get a shot of you here. I had already pre-visualized this photograph. The reason why I liked it is because David's personality, if you know him, he's a very fun, energetic, positive, quirky, just everything about him, this flower reminded me of. Okay, so I thought, you know what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use this flower as the background. I'm gonna position David where his face is right over the yellow center, so it really pulls us into his portrait. I'm gonna make him laugh, get him to emote, and then all these petals of the flower kind of lead us directly into David's shot. So this shot, even though it's kind of haphazard in the way that we did it in 60 seconds, it's very much pre-visualized. So as you're shooting, I want you to go back to these things that you have pre-visualized. It's gonna help you dramatically versus just getting lost in the moment and being like, oh man, I don't know what to shoot now. This is why I had you all do that first step of scanning the scene and pre-visualizing some shots. And where you can, incorporate their personality into your compositions, like we did here with David. Another example of this would be in Pasadena with Buddy. So Buddy plays the trumpet. So what I did for him was I actually positioned him against the wall, and I held the trumpet in my hand, and I used the trumpet as a foreground object to frame Buddy against this clean background. So there's tons of different ways to kind of incorporate their personality into the street photographs that you're taking, even though you're capturing these images within just a matter of moments. Number 7, I want you guys to bust out your best bedside manner, or in photographer terms, your photographer etiquette. So look, none of these people are professional models, right? Well, some of them might be, okay? But for the most part, these are just strangers. You don't know who they are. You're gonna need to direct them. You're gonna need to pose them. You're gonna need to help communicate what kind of shot that you want. Don't just let them be and just be like awkward staring at you in front of the camera. Help them, pose, direct, guide. As you are clicking, give them positive reinforcement. Encourage them, give them praise. This is looking great. I'm loving this. Let's try this. Let's do this. Speak so that you don't create these really awkward and uncomfortable moments between you. One of my favorite things to do is after 1 or 2 shots, I'll show them the images because they almost always think like, this can't be looking that great. And then I show them the first or the second shot and they're like, oh my goodness, this is absolutely amazing. And they get that much more into the shoot. Finally, your phone goes off, your time is up. I want you to get their info. Look, these people were kind enough to actually let you photograph them, get their info. When you post the images, share those images with them, send them a full resolution copy, get in touch with them. I can't tell you how beneficial this is for you and your photography business, regardless of what type of business that you have. Think about this for just a second. Many of these people that you're photographing are people that have their own businesses, their own following, plenty of friends, people that they know getting married, people that they know wanting portraits. They're gonna get your images, they're gonna post your images, and you're gonna be able to connect with their audience and with their networks. So there should really be no reason to be stingy with these photographs that they have volunteered to do for you. Now, most of the time, I notice that photographers aren't stingy. They do want to share those images. Most of the time, I notice that they forget to get the info, or they just simply forget to actually follow up, produce the images, post the results, and share them. So make sure that you're following up and actually completing the process, giving them a good experience as if they were paying clients, because they are paying with their time. So respect it. Now, my personal experiences when it comes to photographing strangers has been incredibly rewarding, not only from just the fun and the enjoyment in sharing my passion and my skill as a photographer with these people, but also just in getting to know them, seeing their confidence and self-perception change when they see themselves in a photograph shot by a stranger. So step out of your comfort zone, give it a shot, and try out the tips in this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, I'd love for you to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you're actually notified when we upload videos. Meantime, please comment below on what you think, what you guys would like to learn next, and I'll see y'all here same time, same place next week. Peace.